House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to House to Home, where we continue to bring you interesting perspectives on the wonderful world of real estate, understanding what it is not, and how you can make it work for you. I'm Jason Salas, trapped in television, and I got no problem with that. Liz and Gina are here. And ladies, as I understand, we have another wonderful guest from your world. What do we got this week?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, we have Tavita Tuulu. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Tuitu.
And he is actually one of the licensed inspectors that inspect homes, prior to people closing escrow. So our last discussion last week, we had Zenon Ballinger, who's a civil engineer. And today I invited Tavita so he can tell us about his experiences as a certified home inspector. But what are the requirements? We wanted to know what were the requirements to become a home inspector. What did you need to get certified? If you could share that information with us and the audience, of course.
Sure. This is something that's always been a passion of mine, is just inspecting things. That's what I've done. I've gone to college over in Hawaii to be, well, of course, I got a bachelor's in business management with emphasis on supply chain. But while I was there, I partook a couple classes on project management and learn about the courses of Lean Six Sigma, which is doing much with less, and that has brought a lot of perspective to me and has given me such a desire to want to know how to improve things and see the efficiency and effective side of a building, which brought me to this point in where I become a home inspector. My full-time job is actually inspecting churches. I work for a corporation, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I manage each of their buildings here in Guam, as well as out in CNMI, and then also Palau and FSM Islands. And through that, I do inspections for them and also make suggestions on what needs to be done to replace and deficiencies. And, home inspection has always been something that has never really caught my attention before. But I'll tell you, it's night and day between doing a larger building versus a smaller residential home. And it's a lot simpler. I wouldn't say it's easier because you still have to account for a lot of these, safety issues. You don't want to be able to say something is okay in the home and find out that it's really not. So you're faced with that decision with the experiences that you've had to just make sure that these are sound and good information you're submitting in your reports. So what it takes to be a home inspector, I basically became home inspector through a friend of mine. He's a close friend of mine, and he was an inspector himself, and showed me where I can get certified and become a home inspector here in Guam. I never thought that this was such a thing here in Guam, but apparently it is. And I'm starting to realize that a lot of our people here on Guam don't know about home inspectors, especially when I speak with a lot of the realtors. There's very few of us that are presently here in Guam, and that is mainly because we don't have such a board to mitigate or to be able to let everyone know that there's a home inspector, and you should be able to have that home inspector inspect the home when you're going through the buying process. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Tavita, so you said a friend of yours introduced you to the process. What is the process of becoming a home inspector? I mean, is it a business license process? Is it educational process? Is it something to do with the building codes where you get trained on that process? What exactly is it?
So there is a process for it, and the way I've done it, I'll just tell you the way I've done it. taking into consideration my experiences that I've had working with, my full-time job, I've learned those codes. I've learned the standard practice of what it takes to know deficiencies and see them in a building. So having that trained eye, and then there's a website called nachi.org, which is where everyone would go to get certified. I wouldn't recommend going to any other sites, but this is the site where I've gone to receive my certification.
I see. Is it an
Did you-
online?
No, this is a online based certification that you can get, and it's highly recommended by basically everyone around the world, that this particular site and areas where you get the certification in nachi.org. So it's the international certification of home inspectors.
Okay, fantastic. Good to know. Thank you.
Did you have to take a test after you were done with the course?
Yes, that's correct. So how this is formulated here, it's really, I love it so much because there's so much to learn from. There's like over 100 plus free different trainings that you can learn. You can learn about roof, how to inspect the roof, how to inspect the electrical, how to inspect plumbing, and all those different issues. There's a ton of them that you can just go through there, and videos that are already made about how you could do that. It's certainly, after you can take those, you go through those lessons and classes, or they call them courses, you can be able to then take a practice test or a free, practice test that they have. And then at the end of this whole course, once you sign and become a member, they give you a certification or an exam where you can take that and become a certified home inspector. But then your training doesn't end there, because there's multiple courses that you would have to go back and take, and they make sure that you start at the beginning and you don't skip anything. You go through every single bullet point and make sure that you master those things. So that's what I really love about this site.
Well, that's really interesting, because it sounds like what the realtors go through. We go through an educational process, and then we have the continuing education, which it sounds like that's what you're going through as well, as continuing education program. You know, I have a question about the inspection process itself. We talk about appraisers, and to some degree, when an appraiser goes out there, there is some subjective items that come into play. How they view a property, how they feel about a property sometimes determines what they select in terms of comparables to use, right? How much of your work is cut and dry, black and white, this is what we're looking for, and how much of it is actually subjective, what you think, how, what your view is on that particular paint job, or, how much of that, your opinion falls into it, or is it a black and white type of thing where you have a checklist and this is what I'm looking for?
We've only got about 90 seconds left. Sorry to put more pressure.
Really?
No problem.
You're on the clock.
Yeah, so I do go by 3 lenses and this is where it sets apart every inspector, because as an inspector, this is what makes you or breaks you, and you're not trying to sell a report that's gonna sway a realtor or a client in any way. You're trying to tell them the truth. You're trying to tell them, hey, this is what you're trying to buy. And if I'm not real about it, and tell you that this paint job here is not that great, and it's up to you what you want to do, then I shouldn't even be an inspector in the first place, So what the 3 lenses I go with is safety. Is it safe? Is the home safe? Everything that I'm inspecting, is it safe? The next one would be functionality. How does it function? Is it functioning properly? Is there something that needs to happen to make it better? And the third one is dignity. Does it fit with the home? Does it go with the home? Was it there at the beginning when it was built? If not, then what can be done to make it better, basically? So those are the 3 lenses that I, as an inspector, take on when I look at a home. And I don't, I've never used my own personal, judgment
Good.
to make, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what Gina was pointing out, that sometimes inspectors use their own personal view in terms of aesthetics that may not have a factor involved in the inspection. So again, personal view versus, it's sometimes we see that in reports and it's a problem.
And let me just say, Tavita, because we got to wrap up here. We have to go. Unfortunately, we are out of time. But I would say quite literally and figuratively, thank you for your knowledge and thank you for your expertise. You are truly doing the Lord's work in everything you do.
Thank you for being here.
All right. Take care, everybody.
It was very informative.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Thanks.
House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.